What's the best way to attract clients online without spending a fortune?
Best way to attract clients online without spending a fortune is by creating partnerships. Partnerships is, look, you're either going to spend through money or you're going to spend through time. Okay, so I think the easiest way, if you don't want to go the money route, is understand that you can create partnerships with people that already have the audience that you would like to eventually sell to. Okay, so who are the people that have that? Well, there are people that are already congregated those audiences. The majority of those people could be on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, if you're working with businesses. And you can also partner with the platforms too. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all basically say, if your content's good, we have the audience. If it's really, really good, we will put it in front of that audience for you. We'll partner with you because our goal is to have people addicted to our platforms. And if you can make them stay on our platforms, we'll actually reward you by putting you in front of people without you paying money. So you have to decide that if you're not going to pay money, then you must pay by becoming really good at making content. You're going to pay either way.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you as always for joining me. Today, we're going to do a rapid fire, and I've brought in Jake Edling. You guys know Jake. Jake works with us here at Smart Success Healthcare. You know what? Should we even tell them? Here's the deal. So Jake has been working with us at SSHC for about a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
And like what happens in a lot of my businesses, the people start to say, you know what, crap, man, I want to do this too. So remember we had a conversation yesterday, and you actually said you wanted to do what I do. So anyways, Jake is going to be diving into entrepreneurship more. And I thought it would be kind of cool if I help you with that, but also help the audience with their stuff as well. So you're going to ask me a bunch of rapid fire questions, correct?
That's great. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So let's go for it, man.
Let's do it.
Let's start doing it.
All right. How can I start making more money without taking on more patients?
Okay. So how can you make more money without taking on more patients? You have to bring more value to the patients that you are seeing right now. Okay. The way you make money is one of three ways: either raise your price, take on more patients, or make your patients have more transactions with you. So what are ways that patients could have more transactions with you, or you can charge them more? Okay, so if you don't want to charge them anymore, they have to have more transactions with you. And one of the ways that you can do that is by giving them some additional service or some additional point of value that they are not getting from you right now. I like to break things up into 4 categories: guidance, accountability, community, and tools. The majority of patients are already getting the tools, which is your hands, and getting some level of guidance from you. Is there any accountability you can give them? Is there a community you can give them? Or is there a different mode of guidance you can give them? Maybe even a different type of tool besides what you're doing with your hands. That's how you make more money. Give them one of those things.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
All right, next. What's the first step to turning my certifications into an online course?
What's the first step to turning your certifications into an online course? Well, I don't think you can turn your certifications into an online course unless you're teaching other people how to get prepared to get that certification. Okay, so you have 2 different ways you can kind of go about it. If you are teaching people how to prepare to get the certification that you got, you can turn that into an online course by just going through the systems and the processes that you did in order to get that certification, all right? The majority of people are not trying to do that. They want the certifications to make them money with clients. So you have to let go of the certification, and you've got to figure out what is a result that your potential patients or clients would want, and start to think of what things you know, what things you understand that can get them that result. So is there a process? Okay, if they do this first, they do this next, they do this next, they do this next, they can get that result. So you got to start thinking, how do I want to monetize my certification? Am I teaching other people how to get that certification, or am I teaching patients how to get a result that can partially be gotten from the certification and partially from my knowledge?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Next. So how do I balance my clinical duties with building an online business?
So how do you balance your clinical duties with building an online business? For every business that I have built, I apply the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule is 80% of my time goes to the business that's bringing in the bread. 20% of my time goes to the potential business that I want to turn from a passion project into my full purpose. So if you have a clinic right now that's bringing in the bread, 80% of your time should be focused on that. 20% of your time should be focused on the other thing. I think a lot of times people think that they need 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week to build a new business. You don't need that. You can build a business off of 5 to 10 hours a week by just getting proof of concept. Okay. And I actually think it's easier for people to have a clinic to get proof of concept because there's already people that trust you and have already paid you because they feel like you can help them with something. So if you can't get those people to buy in, it's kind of already a little bit, tricky. So I really think that 20% of your time should be allocated towards that, and that's enough. You don't need any more than that to get proof of concept.
Okay, great. Is it really possible to make passive income as a healthcare professional?
Yes, it's totally possible to make passive income. I do it every single day. It really is just a matter of understanding a couple things. Number one is you weren't trained to make passive income.
Right.
You weren't trained to build assets, period. Passive income is not fully passive. Okay, there is work to be done on the front end. There will be some passive nature to it, but there's also upkeep that you will have to have in order to have that passive income continue to come, through. But yeah, it's just a skill set. That's really it. I just like people to understand what passive income really is. Passive income is not fully passive. There is active work that is involved in making that type of income. What I like to call it is one-to-many income, meaning that I'm able to bring value to many people at the same time. And that's the income that I like to make. So I know that when I open up my email in the morning and I see $6,000 came through, it's because I am doing one-to-many activities, right? So like yesterday, we got paid like $12,000. Cool, great, that's awesome. But I'm doing one-to-many activities. It's not just passive where I'm gonna just like not do anything. So you gotta ask yourself, like, how can you do that with the clients that you have right now? What things can you give them in the form of guidance, accountability, community tools that can serve them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? So if we want to call that passive, I guess call it passive, but
yeah,
that's it.
I think to piggyback on that,
Yeah.
one thing you do talk about is the Goodwill bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done years and years and years of Goodwill bank account.
Yeah.
And creating digital products as well, still monitoring them. So, but this is how a lot of people come into your world and see like, oh, you just got this, but no, you have established a lot of goodwill in the marketplace.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of time creating things that now are there available. So now you can have those $1,000 mornings, multiple days a week, every day a week.
Yeah.
So
no, bro,
that's very powerful.
That's actually a very important thing for people to understand. In order for you to make passive income, you have to create really powerful tools, powerful accountability, powerful community, powerful guidance-based content that is helping people in a way that they would have paid for if you offered it paid. And you've got to be willing to do that for free. I think this is something that people must understand, because in order for people to buy something from you, there's a couple components that have to happen first. Okay, they have to trust you. They have to feel very confident in what it is that you're going to offer. They have to have the clarity on what it is that you're offering is going to actually help them. and they have to be put into a buying environment. And if all those things have not happened, they're not buying anything from you. So the Goodwill bank account has to be high. And the Goodwill bank account is, I have given you so much stuff and I have helped you so much that when you are looking to actually pay me, you know that you can't go wrong because you know that you should have already paid me by what I've already given you. And if you don't have that amount of goodwill, then people aren't going to pay you yet. So you must understand that first.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How can I use my existing knowledge to create an online product?
How can I use my existing knowledge to create an online product? Ooh, that's a great question. And that's, wait, what question number is that? We can even start saying the question numbers so that
5.
I know.
That's number 5.
That's number 5? Okay, all right. So how can I use my existing knowledge to create an online product? You can use your existing knowledge to create an online product by understanding what result your existing knowledge actually gets for people. Take away just the fact that you know all this stuff and it's gotten you this certification or this degree. The existing knowledge that you have, what result or what problem does that solve for people? Okay. So once you start problem first, then you say, okay, this is the problem that they have. This is the result that my existing knowledge actually gets for people. If they understand this, that's how you actually create an online product. So when I know there's a problem, then I can say, okay, this problem that you all have, this is the result that I can get for people that have this problem. And here are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps that you would need to go through to get that result. That's an online product. That's it. So if you understand the problem and you understand the result of the knowledge that you have, then you can create an online product.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Number 6. What's the best way to attract clients online without spending a fortune?
Best way to attract clients online without spending a fortune is by creating partnerships. Partnerships is, look, you're either going to spend through money or you're going to spend through time. Okay, so I think the easiest way, if you don't want to go the money route, is understand that you can create partnerships with people that already have the audience that you would like to eventually sell to. Okay, so who are the people that have that? Well, there are people that are already congregated those audiences. The majority of those people could be on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, if you're working with businesses. And you can also partner with the platforms too. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all basically say, if your content's good, we have the audience. If it's really, really good, we will put it in front of that audience for you. We'll partner with you because our goal is to have people addicted to our platforms. And if you can make them stay on our platforms, we'll actually reward you by putting you in front of people without you paying money. So you have to decide that if you're not going to pay money, then you must pay by becoming really good at making content. You're going to pay either way. And by the way, if you eventually, when you do pay money, if you suck at making content, you're going to pay more.
Right.
If you're really good at making content, you're going to pay less because you're in a partnership with the platforms.
Right. And it's not being consumed as much by the people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the platforms, Facebook and Instagram don't need your money as much as you need their audience. So their big agenda is not, oh my gosh, I need to take $10,000 from Greg Todd for his ads. Their big agenda is, I need Greg Todd to keep people addicted to my platform, okay? And if Greg Todd can't do it, I'm going to somebody else. So their focus is not, they're playing the long game. The long game is addiction. It's addiction to attention, okay? And they are like, if you can do that, I will get you in front of the people for free, right? I would rather get you in front of the people for free than you give us $10,000 on your piece of crap content that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, every single time I see these stupid ads, I want to just get off the platform. They would rather your content be good than take your money. Just keep that in mind, right? They actually don't want to take your money. They just want you to make people love what it is that you're putting out, and they will reward you for it.
Got it. That makes sense. Number 7, how do I know if my niche is profitable?
how do you know if your niche is profitable? If you have not shown confirmation that your niche actually pays money for the problem that you have or that you're going to create or you're going to solve in the marketplace, if you don't have any proof of that, then you're kind of SOL. Like it's not going to work. So how do you find the proof? You find the proof by going to commerce-based platforms where people pay money to have their problem solved. And those commerce-based platforms are Amazon. Amazon people go there to have their problem solved. They will have their problem solved through education, through guidance. That's a book. They'll have their problem solved through a tool, which could be a product, a service. And that's what they do on Amazon, right? Okay. On Facebook, people will have their problem solved through accountability and community. So if I don't see that there's groups and there's groups that people have paid money to be in, then I'm not like that's no good. There are other community-based platforms like Circle. There's community-based platforms like School. There's community-based platforms like Go High Level, where people actually pay money to be on that platform, to be in a community of other people that have that problem and are trying to get it solved like them. So if I don't see any proof of any of that on any of those platforms, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
There's no proof. So go to the places that people shop already. There's certain places that people shop for tools. There's certain places that people shop for guidance. There's certain places that people shop for accountability. And there's certain places that people shop for community. So go to all the places that people shop and go look and see if people are shopping for that product. And if they aren't, then don't do it.
Yeah. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Number 8. What if I'm not tech savvy? Can I still succeed online?
If you're not tech savvy, you can succeed online if you understand this. You're human. And human beings have the ability to learn new things. I truly believe that every single person needs to have some type of technological wherewithal and is willing to learn enough tech if you want to make all your money from tech. Right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. If you're not willing to learn any type of technological stuff, but you want your life to change through technology, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. Sorry, you don't deserve it. And you might make money. Can you make money not understanding the tech and just being semi-knowledgeable on the thing? Yeah, you can. But at some point, you're going to get screwed. Okay? People are going to realize that they could take advantage of you. And when people know that you don't know, that's where people can say, you know what? She or he is ripe for the picking. And I'm going to take you for whatever it is that you have. So if you're not willing to learn it, then you have not earned the ability to make money from it.
Yeah. And you're limiting yourself in your business too.
Because you're limiting yourself. And there's nothing like, if like people want passive income, okay, great. I want passive income. Well, let me tell you something. I said earlier, there's no true passive income, but I can tell you that like I was out for lunch with my wife yesterday, and we went to the store and we went to a few different places, and we came home, and yeah, there's like $7,500 that was in my account before our lunch date that came into my account after. Okay. And the reality is that people were working on my behalf in my different companies. In order to get people to work on your behalf, they have to, like, you got to give them something besides money for them to want to do that. And so if you don't understand any of this stuff, it's very frustrating for the people that are working for you as well. So you've got to understand it. You don't have to be as good as them, but you got to understand it so that you can respect what it is that they do. So
yeah. How can this is number 9. How can I overcome the fear of starting my own online business?
How do you overcome the fear? I don't know if you ever overcome the fear of starting an online business. I work like with fear. It's, do you want the result of what this thing can give you more than the current fear that's paralyzing you. That's really it. Okay, there's no, oh my gosh, the fear is going to go away. It's never going to go away, right? The first time you're going online and you're doing a live video, the first time you're posting something, the first time you, do a podcast, like there's always going to be fear, right? Me speaking at an event, there's fear. It's, do I want the thing more than the fear that I'm experiencing? So there is no getting rid of fear. It's just, can you work through the fear? Can you work with the fear? Can you do it regardless of the fear? I think that's the way that people should be looking at it, And I think the only way you can answer that is the result of what you want more than the uncomfortable feeling that you're feeling right now to do the thing. And if it isn't, then you won't do it. If it is, you will.
Number 10, is it worth the time investment to create an online course?
Is it worth the time investment to create an online course? I would say it is, because an online course can give me something that I want, right? And so, here, you know what? Here, let me say it like this. Is it worth the investment to create an online course? It only makes sense if what you want from the online course is something that you really want from your life. And what I mean by that is, if you enjoy working with people one-on-one all the time, and that's the way that you enjoy making your money, creating an online course doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If your big fulfillment you get is from physically being in front of people all the time, then I wouldn't advise you to make an online course. But if for you, you're like, no, you know what? I don't mind being in front of people, but I would rather serve people with my knowledge and my gifts and not have to always physically be in front of them, then yeah, it makes sense. That's one of the ways you do it. By the way, online course is not the only way to do it, but it's one of the ways you do it. So really, I think before creating an online course, you got to think about what is it that you actually want, and ask yourself if the vehicle of building an online course is going to get me the thing that I want. And if you look at it like that, then you're better off.
Awesome. 11. What's the easiest way to transition from in-person care to online services?
That's a great question. So the easiest way to transition from in-person care to online sessions, I think that's a two-part question. So there's the current clients that you have in person, how do you transition them? And then there is, how do I transition myself from in-person to people that I don't work with right now in person, like a whole different group of people online. So when I was building my online presence at Renewal Rehab, the first thing that I did to transition was to attempt to get my current in-person clients to value digital communication with me. So the first thing that I did is I started to integrate digital into our typical plan of care that we do in person. So the way that I did it is I would get my clients, instead of giving them paper home programs or giving them okay, these are the things we went over on our first day, I would get them to take all the things that I used to give them, like a tangible piece of paper, and I would put it online for them. And so I would get them to have their plan of care digital as well as in person. And I would get them to do it from the first day that they came in. That's how you start to transition. If people don't value digital, they will not buy digital. They valued me as a therapist, so that's good. That's the reason why they're there. So I had to integrate digital into the one-to-one experience. And once you start to do that, you'll start to get a good chunk of your people that will come over to digital. But you got to do it from the get-go. Where I would screw up before is I thought that if I got people really good results in person, after I got them the result, then they would do whatever it is that I told them to do. And that's not how it works. You actually, the time that people are the most invested is when they just start with you. So you got to start putting digital in from then, not after you get them a result. Because in their mind, they're like, yeah, you got me the result because I was physically in front of you. So why the heck would I take this digital thing now, right? But in the beginning, where they're willing to listen to whatever it is that you say, and they're at the highest level of commitment, you're going to let them know this is how we're going to get the best result. We're going to get it with you working with me here, but we're also going to get it with you working with me outside of here. And this is how we're going to do it. And this is going to get you the optimal result. So if you do that, you'll get people to buy into digital. And once they start to buy into digital, then there's a higher likelihood they're going to pay you for digital in the future.
Yeah, that's amazing. One thing that I've seen with you, and you've mastered that, and I would say we're the first one to bring that into healthcare. And what do you call that?
What's that?
How you teach people to do that. It's the SBO.
Yeah, like a solutions-based offer.
In 30 seconds, can you say?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, I teach people to get people to pay you for a result instead of getting people to pay you for you. Majority of healthcare providers are getting people to pay them for them, right? They promote themselves, they pimp themselves, they say I'm the greatest. They say that the reason why you should come to me is because you're going to get me one-on-one. They're basically promoting to everyone in a way that keeps them having a job for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
Right? Whereas for me, I am positioning a result. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, you want the result more than you want me. You don't really want me. You wanted me initially because you thought that I was the only way to get the result. But once I positioned the result instead of me, you're like, okay, well, how do I get more of that? And that's what's allowed me to be more creative on how can I get people the result faster. So that's really it.
Yeah.
And now what I've realized is that people really could care less if I'm a part of it. They just want to know that they're going to get the result in the most convenient, time efficient, economical, easy way that they can possibly get the result at the highest probability. And if you can do that, you're good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Number 12, how can I avoid burnout while scaling my business?
How can you avoid burnout while scaling your business? All right. So, burnout's
that word.
It's such a tricky thing, man. Burnout, like what is burnout? I don't know. I think okay, this is what I know. So the other day I was, remember when we did the event in Largo?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Of course.
All right. So we worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we have Thursday, right? And then we work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Did those days seem long to you?
Nope.
They didn't really seem long to me, right? Okay, on Thursday, if my wife is listening to this, she's gonna kill me, but on Thursday, we had a bunch of weeds in the yard, okay? And it was getting out of control. And the person that we used to hire to do all the weed maintenance and whatnot, it wasn't working out with that person. So my wife's like, hey, do you want us just to do this? Well, I was out there, hot as hell, and I was out there for about 3 hours. And bro, I was soaked. I was soaked, and it felt like 3 days. If I would have had to do that for another 12 hours, maybe that's what people are calling, burnout. Well, when we were at Largo, 12 hours felt like nothing. It was fun. I'm in my zone.
It went by so fast.
Yeah, you're in your zone. We're all in our zone, right? Okay. So I think burnout happens when you're doing something you don't like.
You're out of alignment.
You're out of alignment. You're doing something you don't like. Nobody talks about, oh my gosh, I'm at Six Flags Over Georgia, or I'm at Busch Gardens and I'm burned out. If you love roller coasters, bro, you'll stay there all day. Because you love it. So I think burnout is more of a symptom of when you are doing stuff that you don't like to do and doesn't have a payoff of what it is that you want. And so how to avoid burnout? Stop doing things you don't like to do and stop doing things that aren't going to get you to where you want to go. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. I'm not going to and by the way, I just don't, I believe in hard work. I just believe in working hard at things that are going to work. Right? Okay? Right? I just don't want to work hard at something that's not going to work, and it's something I don't want anyways.
Yeah.
that will lead to burnout. So I just don't want to do weeds. I love you, babe. I love you, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. Okay, but if it's my choice, I don't want to have to do weeds for 13 hours a day. That's not my thing. I understand that's a thing for some other people. I would rather like do what I did and work on businesses for 13 hours than pull weeds for 13 hours. Okay, 13 hours of pulling weeds, burnout. 13 hours of working with the people that I want to work with, bliss. Do more of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So 13. What's the most effective marketing strategy for healthcare professionals?
What's the most effective marketing strategy for healthcare professionals? I don't know if there's a blanket statement that we can use for that.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that I would say is making sure that you are marketing to people where they're actually at. That's probably the biggest mistake that I see people do, right? Like, I can have the best bait. I can have the right hooks. I can have like just the most amazing food for fish. But if there's no fish in that area of the intercoastal or the Gulf, I ain't catching nothing. So the best thing I can tell people to do is just make sure that you are in a place to where the people that would want your stuff are. That to me is like the most important thing. You can tell people, hey, there's information-based, marketing. There's curiosity-based marketing. There's love-hate-based marketing. There's identity-based content. All those things are powerful. Those things are great. But if you are somewhere where the fish aren't even there, it doesn't matter. You have to be in a place where the audience is there. So to me, that's the most important thing that people must understand, okay? You just doing work and you just logging in hours of marketing in a place where nobody is there that would want your thing is a total waste of your time, okay? It's a total waste of your time. Make sure that you are in a place where the audience that would buy your stuff is. Now, if you're there, assuming you're there, then great. Now we can talk about info-based marketing is important. Sharing and conveying stories of people that have the problem that your audience has right now and that have been able to overcome that. Talking about things that your audience hates, talking about things that your audience loves, getting your audience to be able to galvanize behind one main mission and theme. All those things are important, but if you're in a place where the fish are not, then you're screwed.
Yeah. The biggest thing I learned from you, is just like these two words you would always tell people is just niche down.
Yeah.
And when they thought they niched down, you help them niche down even more. Because you have to like take hold of that little sliver.
Yeah. Yeah, bro, it's when you're trying to catch big fish, you have to get very, very unique in the type of bait that you use.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I know that there's certain things that, like, I'm sorry, I always use fishing analogies because,
you like to fish.
I like to fish, and it's funny, man, like fishing teaches me patience, but like there's such an art to it, So sometimes I go out and I'm really just fishing just to get out on the water. But there are times when, at least for me, when the purpose is to catch fish, like, here's what I do. I usually will go out with a captain. I'll go with somebody that does this for a living. And the first thing that they do is they say, let's go to our spots. What do you want to catch? And I'm like, okay, I want to catch grouper. I want to catch snapper. Okay, cool. Let's go to our spots. And they're so experienced, they know the spots. Okay? And then we've got specific bait that we use at those spots. And they say, okay, ready? Drop it. Oh my God. So it's like when I don't have time to waste, that's what I do. Now, I pay money for that. I pay $1,200 to go out with a captain. But, you do it between like 4 guys, each of us. It's like, $300-400. And we catch enough fish for months.
Yeah.
So we're good, But that's what, there's times where I'm going out and I don't, like, that's not my thing. I just want to get on the water and I don't want to have to think about anything. You know what I mean? But if you guys are like serious about hooking people and catching people, then you got to make sure you're in a place where the people are. That's that's the most important thing. And then when it comes to niching down, you got to make sure that you have the right bait, the right hook that will get those people.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Number 14. How can I price my online services competitively?
Oh, that's a great question. So to price your online services competitively, you need to understand this. It's in your best interest to either be the most expensive or be the cheapest. Okay? Don't be anywhere in the middle, right? In the middle, you're now just, your potential clients are going to play the comparison game. Okay? Well, this one does this one does that. And now it's kind of a race to the bottom, all right? Either be the cheapest, and you're going to get, obviously, the people that just want to get in the game. They're usually quite high maintenance, right? Because they don't value it enough yet, which is why they want to go cheap. So they want a lot for very little, right? Or you go the most expensive. You go the most expensive. You've got to be very, very good at communicating and conveying what it is that you're offering, and that you're doing this in a totally different way than everybody else. There is no advantage to being anywhere in the middle. So price it the cheapest, price it the most. For me, most of my business, I want to price it the most. Okay? And the businesses that I price it the most, let's not get it twisted. There are things that I have that other people charge for, I get for free. So I know I'm going to get the free people, and I know I'm going to get eventually the people that will pay the most. So that's a strategy I use, and I think that's what most people should use as well.
15. What's the quickest way to get started with telehealth?
Oh man, what's the quickest way to get started with telehealth? You know what? I'm actually going to piggyback off of one of my clients. So Kelly Alhui, I think, has done this the best. And so here's what she does. She just integrates telehealth into her plan of care. Okay, so for those of you that you're seeing patients anyways, what she does is she tells the people that telehealth is going to be a part of your package that you bought with me. So if they buy a 12 visit, package, she lets them know that telehealth will be 3 to 4 of those sessions. Okay. And the reasoning that she gives behind it is that there's certain things that we can do here, but this is not simulation, right? We got to simulate the field like a football team, right? What they do is they simulate what it's going to be like when they play on the road. So they want to simulate the crowd noise, and they want to simulate the heat or the cold or the rain or this, that, whatever. So that's how Kelly positions it with her clients. Let's simulate the actual environment that you're going to have to deal with life in. And so I think that's the best way to do telehealth. Make sure you just integrate it into their current plan of care that they've been doing with you anyways.
And you're conveying that at the beginning.
You convey that at the beginning.
They're ready for it.
Yeah, I think that's where most people screw up, is they think that because they've helped somebody in a particular way, if I can just prove to them that I can help them, then they will go over into telehealth and my online course and everything else. No, they won't. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. You hook them in by the way that they want to come in, and then you show them when they come in that we're going to do this, we're going to keep it the same, but we're going to do it a little bit different, right? You understand the 6 human needs that everybody has. Everybody wants certainty. So they come in because they're going to work with you, but then they also don't mind a little uncertainty, but we're going to do things a little bit different. That's going to get us results even faster. So we're going to add telehealth. We're going to add this, we're going to add that. And you explain to them that way. So they love it, right?
Yep.
So that's how you got to do it. You got to do it from the get-go to give them the certainty, but then you got to throw in, we're going to do this little extra stuff that's going to give them the uncertainty. If you do it properly, you balance it too, they'll do it all the time.
And how has that affected her cancellation rate?
She has no cancellation rate. She has 0% cancellation.
0 cancellations.
0%
right?
cancellation there, because every single time somebody's like, oh, I can't make it into my in-person appointment, then it's like, oh, no problem. Let's just move it to telehealth. Should we do the same time or should we do a different time? That's it.
And they charge the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's all part of the thing.
And the people, she positions it that the telehealth appointments are actually more valuable than in person. So it's all about how you position it. But you got to position that from the get-go, right? Where a lot of therapists, a lot of healthcare providers don't want to do that. because remember, they have indoctrinated themselves on how to sell themselves physically.
Yeah.
Remember, right? They've pimped to everyone. It's me, it's me, it's me, physically being in front of you. So they screwed themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. That's one of the most brilliant things that I've seen.
Yeah.
Just in the last couple months.
Shout out to Kelly for that.
Good job, Kelly.
She's really taken that to another level. Yeah.
I was 16. Here's 17. Can I really make money online without losing the personal touch with patients?
Yeah, you can. So for me, in every business that I have, I believe that the business should be hybrid. So hybrid, it just means that I do in person and I do online, right? The reality is that you're going to be able to reach more people online, but just because you're doing it online, that doesn't mean that you should take away the actual in-person impact that you can have with people. So you see that like in this business, we have online courses, and the only way those people would ever come into my world is if they come in through my online products, right? Whether it's free Facebook groups, it's Instagram, it's the podcast, it's, like all the different ways, right? Okay. But then as they get to know you, and it's more intimate online, right? Because they're getting to know you a little bit more through private groups, through, private, trainings. Then they're like, man, I want to meet these people, right? They don't just get to know me. They get to know the other amazing people. Like, man, I want to meet them. So that's when we do our in-person retreats and our in-person events. And so I recommend for everyone, that's how you should set up your business. And so, yeah, I mean, just because you go online doesn't mean you have to turn into some weirdo and people, you're going to lose your in-person touch. You're not going to lose your in-person touch. You're just going to have more people to touch. You're going to get more people to touch. So you're not going to lose that. I think what I'm seeing is I have like two groups of audiences. My audience initially used to be very, very, very young. Okay. Like really young. And so a lot of my audience, they didn't struggle with the tech, but the younger generation, and I hate to blanket statements, but they struggle more with like the in-person communication, right? And then I've got my older folks, which are great in person. Like they can talk it up and like with anyone, but they aren't so good with the tech. And so I feel like God appointed me for this time because I'm right in the middle. I've had to learn the tech, but I still know how to speak to people and have enough in-person, communication. And so I think the biggest thing is, to the young people, like work on your in-person skills, and to the older people, work on your tech skills. And if you all can do that, you're going to get the best of both worlds. Okay, you got to build both of them, and you're not going to lose your in-person touch if you go online. You're just going to be able to touch more people.
That's great. 18. What tools do I need to start an online healthcare business?
What tools do you need? You're going to need a few different things. You're going to need a way to be able to communicate with people before they want to buy your stuff. Okay. So you can do that via just the social media platforms. You don't need to pay any money for that. But I do have online tools that I use that schedule those things out so that I'm not on the platforms all the time. And so I use different scheduling tools. I use it inside of the software platform that we use on high level. So you're going to need that. You're going to need a way to be able to capture people's information, meaning that their name, their email, and preferably their cell phone number. And so that's called a CRM. That's contact relationship management, platform. So you're going to need that. You're going to need a way to be able to deliver whatever online offering it is that you're going to give to people, whether that's guidance in the form of a course, in the form of some type of digital download. You're going to need a way to be able to house a community, if that's the direction you want to go, a way to be able to talk to people in a one-to-many format through accountability, and different type of digital tools. So Those are really the things you're going to need. And you're going to need a way to be able to take people's money. All right. So there's a lot of platforms out there that do that. You integrate an online payment platform. You link it to your bank account. People like what you have. They want your help. You give them a link. They pay. It goes into your bank account. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to need. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. 19. How can I ensure my online content is HIPAA compliant?
So you want to use, if you want to make sure that your content is HIPAA compliant, you got to use a HIPAA compliant software to like do your whatever ways you're giving digital value to people. And so there are a lot of platforms out there that are really, really good, but they're not HIPAA compliant. There are platforms that are really, really good that are HIPAA compliant. Just find those platforms. The one that we use is through a company called Go High Level. We white labeled it so that it's for the brand of my company. And we pay an additional, I think $500 a month or something like that. Is it 300, 500? I can't remember. But we pay that to have it HIPAA compliant for all of our clients, and so many of our clients are in healthcare.
Nice. 20. What's the best way to promote my online course to my existing patients?
The best way to promote your online course to your existing patients is the best way to do it is to get your existing patients to find value in your digital, to find digital value before you ever ask them to pay for digital. That's the best way to do it. So the best way to get your existing patients to be able to buy your course is to get them to value digital before you ask them to pay for digital. So the best way to get them to value digital is to integrate digital in with their traditional plan of care with you, okay? Get them to have to do digital consumption while you're doing in-person treatments. If they do not do that, there will be no value to them for digital. They will not buy your stuff. Like, I want to make that so clear to you guys. They will never, ever, ever buy it if they haven't valued it first. It's not just because you are the most amazing person in the world. It doesn't matter. Like, here, let me ask you this. What's your favorite burger joint? What's your favorite burger, or do you like burgers?
Oh yeah, I love burgers.
Okay.
I think there was like Fridays had this like monster like burger.
Okay, so TGI Fridays.
I think
Okay,
so,
great.
yeah.
All right, okay. So TGI Fridays, you value for their food.
Yeah.
And you value them for their burgers. If TGI Fridays comes out with a new automobile, the company says, we're going to come with the TGI Friday mobile. Are you buying it?
Of course.
You're going to buy it. You're going to buy a TGI Friday mobile?
Automobile?
Yeah,
No.
an automobile.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I thought it was a new burger.
Oh, no, no, not a burger. If TGI Fridays comes out with a car, you're not going to buy the car.
Heck no.
Because you like their burger. It's the same thing with people, okay? They will buy it only if they found value in it in some sort of way. So you got to create that for them. Now, if you found out that, hey, like Amazon's a great example. Amazon started with books only. They were a bookstore, okay? They used the people that were coming there that valued books. They used them to be able to basically pull them on, hey, what else, what could we start also giving you all that you would consume in this same sort of way? And that people said this and this and that, and that's how they did it. They didn't just say, okay, you're valuing books, let's go and create a streaming video platform. They didn't do that. They slowly started to add by polling the audience and telling them, hey, what are other ways that and then they brought one thing at a time. So just make sure you do it in the right way. Now today, Amazon's different. Their brand is so big, no matter what they do at this point, we would probably buy it, right? But for you, for the little guy like me and you, we have to do it in a way to where we are getting them to value the thing before we're asking them to pay for it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That was 20. Okay, here's 21. How do I stay motivated when results aren't immediate? Sorry. Number 21.
Yeah.
How do I stay motivated when results aren't immediate?
Yeah. Just understand that that's normal. Understand that you're not an employee anymore. Let's talk about awareness. I don't like the motivation thing. Okay.
No, it will not carry
we're
you.
not good. That's not going to get you over the finish line. Let's create awareness here. You are not an employee anymore. You're an entrepreneur. Okay. As an employee, you get a treat for every single thing that you do. You work an hour, you get paid. You work an hour, you get paid.
Yep.
That's how it works for your entire life as an employee. You are not an employee anymore. Okay. The reality is that the results are happening. The results are happening every day. Okay. Now, I think whoever made this question, what they're thinking is they're thinking the results is money. Okay. Like me doing this podcast, if nobody was listening to it, the results are already happening. I'm getting better at my communication. All these questions I haven't heard before, right?
Right.
Like I didn't, right? So this is something that I'm getting better and better at, how to recall information to be able to give a clear and coherent answer to people, okay? So the results are happening. Which results are they talking about? Are they talking money? Oh, money. Okay, I got it. Well, guess what? You're not an employee anymore. You're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who's willing to own and operate a business and is willing to do so at a very high financial risk and understands that they're going to have to give lots of value before anyone even potentially thinks about paying them. Are you that? Because if you're that, then you understand that this is what needs to happen. I know that 95% of the people that listen to this podcast will never pay me a penny. And I'm totally fine with it. I don't need them to. But the 5% that do, I want to make them make sure that, wow, this is one of the best choices I ever made is pay this guy money. And I know that if 5% do, I know that I can make a really, really, really good living. And I can make a really, really good living for the people that help me with this. And I'm cool with that. Employees aren't. Employees are like, no, I'm used to, if I do something, I want a treat. They behave like, I'm not trying to say you're a dog if you're an employee, okay? All right, I love all of you. But you behave like my dog Milo. Whereas Milo will sit as long as you give him a treat. He's not trained well enough. And that's on me. And that's on me, right? But if you give him a treat, he'll sit. You don't give him a treat, he might sit, he might not. Okay, you have to understand that the results are happening. They might not be happening monetarily, but the results are happening in your skill set. They're happening, and if you can't handle the delay in the monetary, then you need to go get a job while you're learning how to become an entrepreneur. Because there's going to be a delay. It's just basic sowing and reaping principles. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, number 22. Sorry. Number 22. Is it possible to make passive income without quitting my day job? Well, kind of.
Is it possible? Is it possible to make passive income without quitting your day job? Yes, it is possible to make passive income without quitting your day job. I actually don't recommend you quit your day job before you start to make passive income. I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time should be to your day job. 20% of your time should be to your passive income passion project. That's it, And by the way, that doesn't mean that when I'm at my day job, I'm giving 80%. At my day job, I need to be giving 100%. But then in my time, but I'm saying, okay, so I know that if my day job is 40 hours a week and I'm following the 80-20 rule, here's how this works. That means that 40 hours a week, I'm giving 100% to my day job. Okay. And then I'm taking 10 hours, and that could be before work, that could be after work, that could be on the weekends. I'm putting to my passion project. That's what you're doing. Okay. All right. It's not, I'm going to be at my day job, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to half-ass it at my day job, and I'm going to give them 80% instead of 100%. Well, guess what? If you do that at your day job, you're training yourself to be a mediocre entrepreneur, and mediocre entrepreneurs struggle and go out of business. So that's one thing. When I was working for somebody, I never did that. I busted my AZZ when I was working for them. But then on the side, when I left, that's when I did my work. At Renewal Rehab, when I did the 80-20, I did the same exact thing. I was giving my all to Renewal Rehab. It was on the weekends. Instead of watching a Dolphins game, that's when I built SSPT, okay? So I gave my 20% on the weekends, okay? If I would have given 80% to Renewal Rehab, the thing that made me all the money would have stopped making me the money, and then I would have been desperate to my 20%, and I would have put myself in a really bad position, right? So, like, that's, by the way, that's how my 20% took off even faster. Well, because I wasn't some coach that was just trying to coach to make money from coaching. Like, I actually did it. So,
Yeah.
so like, you know, so that made me unique in the marketplace. I actually coached, and I'm teaching you on stuff that I do, not on something that I know in theory, right? So, yeah, like, that's how it should work. You should be able to do it that way. 80-20 is the key. That's it. Now, at some point when you've done the 20%, you will, if it starts to get traction, okay? Not all businesses get traction. So once it starts to get traction, you'll have a choice. And at some point you'll be like, oh my gosh, is my 20% now bringing in nearly as much money as my 80%? And then you can flip it, right? And I had to do that with Renewal. I've had to do that with Rehab to RX. I had to do that with the different, you know, with Smart Virtual Staff. Louise had to do that with me. You know, she was my VA, full-time VA. We started a company, 80% of the time with me, 20% of the time there. You're going to do that on the weekends. You're not messing with my stuff. I became an investor with it. And then in 2020, we had that conversation. And I was like, all right, I need to flip it. But just because you flipped it doesn't mean I'm going to continue. I ain't paying you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to get it through the company. And then she did it. That's it.
Yeah. Number 23. How do I deal with imposter syndrome when starting an online business?
Imposter syndrome, like most people have imposter syndrome. I'm gonna position it a little bit differently for people. Imposter syndrome usually means that you don't feel equipped to do the thing that you're trying to do. Okay, and so I actually think imposter syndrome is a great. It's actually a really good thing. Okay, because imposter syndrome usually means that you're trying to level up. So you're going into uncharted territory. So I actually like the idea of the feelings of imposter syndrome. Whoa, I haven't done this before. Well, that's growth. Like, hey, I'm doing something totally new. Well, that's growth. If you're not feeling the feelings of imposter syndrome, chances are you're just doing stuff that you already know how to do. And you're not really challenging yourself. So I actually think imposter syndrome is great. Now, can you work through it and can you do the thing regardless of those feelings? Well, that's the issue, right? But if you look at it in that way, look at it as in like, hey, I'm leveling up here. And so, yeah, I'm totally cool with feeling that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Number 24. What are the biggest mistakes healthcare professionals make when going online?
I would say the biggest mistakes that the majority of healthcare professionals make is they assume that their prior experience, their prior credentials entitle them to actually make money online. And that is a recipe for disaster. They have to understand that their ability to communicate is probably going to be the biggest reason, assuming they have an audience that actually wants whatever it is that they can solve in a marketplace. Their ability to communicate and communicate well and communicate to enough people is going to be the biggest reason why they will succeed or fail. And most of them feel entitled that all the things that they have spent their money on should enable them to make money online. And that's not how it works.
All right, number 25. How can I stand out in a crowded online market?
Yeah, you got to have something. You got to know who your audience is. If you can talk to them in a way that nobody else is talking to them, you will stand out. And that doesn't mean that you have to create necessarily new problems. It can be the same problems that other people are solving, but you're coming at it from a different vantage point.
Right.
So you have to be able to honor who you are, your story. You got to be able to honor your way, your method of doing things, and you got to be able to speak it often. Like that's really it. You know, most people just don't even give themselves a shot at it working because they think that if they have a following of 1,000 people, that if they put one thing up, all 1,000 people are going to see it. Like that's not how it works. You know, you might get 2 to 3% of whoever your audience is actually see it. So it's got to be a volume game, and through volume, you will develop quality. So that's how people see it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. 27. How do I handle objections from patients who prefer in-person care?
How do you handle objections? You know, you use the objections to make the offer better. You know, a lot of times people look at the objections as, oh my gosh, they don't want it. When people are giving me objections, that means that they're interested, right? Like if I'm not interested in something, I'm just like to say no, like I don't want it, right? But when people are like, well, I'm this and that, like they're just trying to work through things in their mind. So use the objections to make your offer better. Like in my process of how I help people, I have 6 steps, right? So step number 1 is like, okay, help people find an audience. Step number 2 is then help them create some type of offering to their audience so that they can help them and get paid for it. Step number 3 is, okay, create an engine to get people to see the offer often, right? Step number 4, this is where we hang out for a very, very long time, and it's optimizing it. So if people don't object, how in the heck am I going to make it better? So they don't tell me, hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Everybody's trying to, like, I don't want to feel any objections. Get over yourself, okay? Use the objections to make the offer better. The whole goal is to optimize your offer so that one day your offer actually works, whether you sell it or not. It works all the time. That's how if you guys want to make passive income, the way you make it is have an offer that is so sick that people will buy it regardless, right? Like, I'm just thinking on Amazon, right? There's something I bought yesterday I bought it yesterday on Amazon, and it actually came this morning already, right? And it was a cover for like my jet ski, right? Okay, and they made the offering, the communication of it on Amazon was very clear that it was for my particular jet ski. It was a certain size that would fit mine. It came with this extra thing, which I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, when I go out, I need that cover too, and I need that cover too. So they have optimized their offering so good that I didn't need to talk to a representative. I didn't need to talk to anybody else. I'm like, yep, every single thing they said in the description, everything they said in the pictures, it's like, that's what I need. I bought it. That's how you want your offer to be. How are you going to get that if you don't hear the objections from people? You're not going to be able to optimize your offer. So use the objections to optimize. Objections to optimize, not objections to run away. Objections to optimize your offer. Make it better, better, better. Look for the objections. Don't hide from it.
That was great advice.
Yeah.
One thing, if I could piggyback off that real quick, is, and just very quickly, regarding online courses that you create, you typically sell them before it's even created.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So for me, I want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time creating duds. I want every single album that I have to hit. Like, that's what I want. And the way that I do that is by putting it out to the marketplace before. I like to put it out to the marketplace in a very, very controlled environment. And I call it a beta, right? And so I think a lot of people don't do that. They spend all this time putting all this stuff together, and they don't make sure that it's going to hit first. So I do that to usually 1 or 2 people, make sure that the whole process works very well, and then I know that it's going to work in the marketplace. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't do that. They just rushy. You know, I've heard one of my mentors, Myron Golden, say that the amateur spends 4 to 10 times more of their time performing than practicing and perfecting. But the master spends 4 to 10 times more of their time practicing and perfecting before they perform.
Wow.
And most people are rushy and they just want to put something out because they're rookies. Whereas I would rather get it right and make sure that the marketplace wants it first before putting it out. Because I know that when I put it out, I'm going to put out a lot of effort. And I want to make sure it works. You know, because the last thing you want is for people to buy something that doesn't work. Yeah. Right? So I want to make sure it works first.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. 28. What's the ROI of creating an online healthcare business?
What's the ROI? You're not going to exclusively trade all your time for money. You're going to be able to help people outside of your geographical region. You will be able to have basically as big of an audience as you want to have. I'm just thinking of the amount of people that I've helped online. If I was to do that at my clinics, I'd probably have 50 clinics. I have
50?
50. 50 clinics for the amount of people I've helped just this year. Yeah.
How many is that approximately?
This year, I think we've helped 900 unique people, you know. So yeah, 900 unique. At the clinics, probably you're seeing somewhere between 40, maybe anywhere between 30 to 40 new patients a month.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like, you know, so if you're doing 30 to 40 new patients a month, right? Which is like 7 to 10 a week, right? How many clinics do you have to have in order to hit 900 unique people? Get it?
Yeah.
It's a lot, you know? It's 300. It's like 300, you know? So, I mean, I'm being very, very conservative when I say 50, you know, clinics. So yeah, it's pretty wild. That's ROI on online business. Yeah.
Number 29, how do I ensure my online services provide real value to patients?
How do I ensure that my online services provide real value? Just make sure that it actually truly solves a problem that your patients are saying that they have. So if it solves the problem that patients are already saying that it has, it brings the value. Now, the problem has to be a problem that they would pay for. Okay, there are problems that I have that are annoyances, but I'm not paying money for it. Okay, it's got to be a problem that they have that it's like, hey, this is actually bothering me. This is giving me anxiety. This is potentially keeping me up at night. Your online offering has to solve that type of problem. So just understand that not all problems are created equal. Okay, and not all problems are paid equal. Okay,
right.
So if your online offering solves that type of problem and you're able to communicate that to people, then great. Yeah, that'll be worth it.
Awesome. Number 30, what's the long-term potential of combining clinical practice with an online business?
I believe that if you combine clinical practice with having an online business, it sets your business up to last for a lot longer than if you do it the other way. Why? Because everybody else does it the other way. So you're in competition with everybody else, okay? Number 2 is you're limited with what you can do with just having a clinic and doing clinical-based services, right? If I have my clinic, I can have a gym service at my clinic. For some clinics, if you're big enough, a lot of people have just a room. So like, what can you do in a room if that's all you do, right? But for me, like my clinics are, you know, fairly big. I can have gym services. I can have, some workshops. I can, I can do a few different things. Like we have run clubs. We have this. We have that. Okay, there's a few things I can do, but it's very, very few services in relation to what I can do if I add online components to it. So I have so much more things I can add into my offer, like my offer buffet. You know what I mean? So yeah, you just set yourself up to have a much more sustainable business and a business that can win in a competitive market.
One thing on top of that is what just kind of popped in my head with your specific clinics back when you started implementing some like online. You started with like SEO, like local SEO and blogging stuff, and that really saved you in like the.
Dude, I think if I didn't, I think if I didn't do that, that was in 2009, 2008 to 2010. If I didn't have that, I probably would have gone out of business. Because remember now, 2008 is when we had the whole market crash and stuff like that. So I started my blog in 2007. And the blog was not on my clinic site. And when I had a guy redo my website for my clinic, he said that my blog was getting more traffic than my clinic site. So he said the one thing, he did this, and it cost me $5,000 to have him redo our site. And if you look at it, like it was a joke, right? Like today, you're like, oh my God, what a joke. But he gave me that one piece of advice, and it paid for itself tenfold. He said, put your blog in your clinic site, okay? And so that's what I did. And my blog got me traffic. As I said earlier, if you go fish, you can have the right bait, you can have the great rod, you can have all these other things, you can have the right fishing gear on, you can watch all the YouTube videos, but if you're not a place where there's fish, you're screwed. So everybody's biggest issue, I would say, is that, assuming that you actually have something that people would want if they knew it, the biggest issue that most people have is traffic. They don't have enough traffic. And what my blog was able to do is able to get me enough traffic so that all the other businesses, when the economy tightened up and they were just relying on their one or two ways, their one or two doctors or whatnot, I had so much traffic that it was able to keep my clinics going and keep me at the top of Google in Tampa. That was it. And then the crazy part about it is that all the opportunities that came outside of my clinic all came from that blog. So people started knowing me nationally. And it started to give me opportunities with publications and with advanced BT and this and that, And then all these other opportunities came because of that. It all comes from people just knowing that you exist. Did we learn anything about that in school? Nope. But you got to learn it now. So
yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
So did I answer all those questions?
You did, all
right.
30.
Cool. All right. So what we'll do is hopefully you guys got some value from this. And we're going to be doing a challenge at the end of this month, September 30th to October 4th. I think we're going to call it, you know what, I'm not going to say the name yet. Just know that it's a 5-day challenge and it's going to help you with some of those things that you just rapid fired at me. All right. We'll do that over 5 days and it'll be pretty awesome. So I hope you guys join us September 30th to October 4th. You'll see some link somewhere when I come with the name for it. All right. Later, y'all. Till next time. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
Yeah.